right, good morning everyone. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather, and we have a lot of information coming in about Tropical Storm Beryl. So let's just go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to adjust myself a little bit here. Been kind of arguing with myself a little bit on this setup of getting everything ready here, just because I wanted to make sure I had as much information as possible and wanted to make sure I presented it the best way possible. I don't cover a lot of these, and so I'm making sure that we're prepared here. But here is Tropical Storm Beryl, and you can see that this is a sizable storm, a large storm, very strong tropical storm here. We do expect this to become a hurricane sometime later today, this evening sometime. You can already see the eye starting to try to get organized here. So really, I think we could see hurricane strength just about any time here. And so as we watch this, we will see more of this. And you notice that this is getting brighter as the sun going up, as the visible radar, that visible satellite kind of depends on having that sunlight to see that, but it is the best view. And you can see the bands already making their way through the Brazos Valley, going to be coming up to our area later today. So we will see clouds from this storm system making their way northward towards our particular area. We already have hurricane warnings in effect all the way from Padre Island all the way up to Treasure Island here. And then as we go forward, there are tropical storm warnings all the way up to College Station here in the Brazos Valley. So there are a number of things to be watched here. And one of the things I wanted to point out, for one, if I can get the mouse, I tell you, this wireless mouse here, people tell me all the time, well, the problem is you have a wireless mouse. Well, that's kind of the way it has to be, because I can't have a cord going all the way over here to where I am. So, and then the camera's a little choppy. I'm not sure what's going on there. Went back to the old camera, and it's acting up now. So we're in kind of we're in R&D season, so things are a little bit clunky in the summer. But you can see all of this, see this blue, you can see all of this convection here, and that will be watched very, very closely as we get through the next several hours and watch to see when this will be strengthening. And again, you can see all of the moisture in the clouds beginning to make their way north, so we will see clouds from this storm later today. Let's get, let me see if I can pull up just briefly. Let's get back to the more picturesque visible satellite here. That's what everybody likes to see. But I want to pull up one of the buoys here, and you can see the buoys in the water. And sometimes we can actually get video from these. So this is one of those in the Gulf of Mexico here behind the storm. You can see how choppy those waters already are. And if you get motion sickness, this will definitely do it for you, because this buoy is getting thrown around in this water here. And then as we get ahead of the storm, this is closer to the coast. You can already see how choppy these waters are beginning to be. You can see all of that cloud cover. And as we go forward, let's get it a little bit closer to offshore of Houston here again. You can see how choppy these waters are. So this storm definitely churning things up in the Gulf of Mexico. And let's get over to radar and actually get a closer look at what we're seeing there. And I apologize for all the flipping around here, but there's a lot to see with this storm. Now, as we look at radar, again, you can see where we are looking at the eye here. Wendy Lacey, you just got off a cruise ship in Galveston. Well, I'm glad you got your trip in here. But this is the radar. You can see the eye. You can see that focus of that convection around that center. That is the sign that you look for to see that this storm is becoming more organized. And we definitely are seeing much more organization from this storm. As it continues on, we're already seeing the rain bands hitting Corpus Christi here over towards Matamoros. So again, if you're down on the coast of Texas, you're going to start feeling that today. We already have rain bands making their way into the Houston area, as well as we go a little bit farther north. Take a look at that radar. You can already see all of this outbound convection, all of these outer bands making their way headed towards the Texas coast, all the way from Corpus Christi, Bay City, Galveston, up towards Beaumont. So this storm is making its way in, and as we shift gears here a little bit, not quite like that, but I want to show you what to expect track-wise here, timing-wise. So later today, 1 o'clock, it projects still tropical storm strength. I'm skeptical there. I think we could see hurricane strength declared probably at any moment. We'll see those hurricane hunters making their way. In fact, off screen here, I'll do a quick check to see if they are making their way now. I would not at all be surprised to know if they're down there. Doesn't look like they are quite there yet. Let's see. That could be them there. Okay, yeah, not quite seeing them on the map there, but I will be watching for them. The hurricane hunters, of course, they are our best view of the best idea of what's going on in that storm. So once they are in the air and in that storm, we will get an update, and I imagine we will probably see hurricane strength fairly early today. So later tonight has this storm. Well, that's not making any sense. I think that's supposed to be tonight. What we're really paying attention to, I don't think this quite went right, but that looks correct, 7-8. So tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning, making landfall as a hurricane. Looks like right now Category 1 strength. Some believe we could be making a run at Category 2, but as it continues to move northward, we will see that make landfall early tomorrow morning. By 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, this should be up in the Brazos Valley here north of Houston, and then by looks like Tuesday morning, moving east of us. I'm not sure about this timing though. I think we might need to see an update on this, because it's been looking like well, I guess that could be correct, but I think by Tuesday it looks like some of the more recent projections have this one moving a little bit farther into the Arklatex by early Tuesday morning. But what I want you to pay attention to is that the cone of uncertainty does include parts of our area. If we see this track move farther west, which it's been fairly consistent up to this point, but if we see that track move farther west, the center of that get closer to our area, that will beef up our rainfall totals expected here. So here's what we're looking at rainfall-wise. This is currently, again, this can all change, and I will bring updates throughout the day if it does. 1 to 2 inches really west of I-35E. So 35E is here, pretty much that line. So 1 to 2 inches for parts of Hill and Johnson and Tarrant counties. On the east side of our area, Dallas, Ellis, east side of Hill County, and parts of Navarro County, 2 to 3 inches. East of us is where you really start to increase those numbers. So from Ennis, Corsicana, Mejia on east, 3 to 4 inches, and then you could be looking at 5, 6, 7, possibly in some isolated areas up to 10 inches of rain, much closer to the center. So from Fairfield to Athens up to Grand Saline, that's going to be there in east. That's where the highest probability of very high rain amounts are possible. So those areas will need to pay attention, and that's why you have a flood warning flood watch for now. Flood warnings will be coming, but flood watch for now in parts of Limestone and Freestone County, Navarro County, Kaufman, Henderson, Van Zandt County there. So as you go, this is what we're looking at, and this is, let me go on the other side of the screen here again, but this is where you have your flood watches. And so for now, this is where some of the heaviest rain will be moving with this storm. Again, the slightest bit east or west, and this could change. That's why you will want to make sure that you're tuned in to South Metro weather throughout the day today, throughout the day tomorrow, as we cover this storm. These tracks change. These hurricanes, these tropical storms, they don't really tell us what they're getting ready to do, and so we have to watch and see how these things unfold. But at the present time, this is effective tomorrow morning through Tuesday morning. So that's what we're looking at in terms of those flood watches. Now I want to show you a couple of things, because this isn't the only chance of rain that we have going into the next 24, 48 hours. Here's your hurricane. You can see in Oklahoma, we do have this outflow boundary that has created a storm complex. This won't get to us, but farther north, we do have a cold front. So this front will be making its way, and we will see that move our way early tomorrow morning, late tonight, early tomorrow morning. That could create another storm complex that could make a run at our area early tomorrow morning. Could be pre-dawn tomorrow morning. it doesn't look very likely to reach our area. So we will see what that does, and that could give us an early start of the rain before we start getting the rain from Tropical Storm Beryl there. So it's always interesting when we have a couple of things coming together here. The HR model has this big complex of storms tomorrow afternoon colliding directly with Beryl. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I think that model is a little bit off. But we will see a early chance of rain early tomorrow morning from that front, and that creating a storm complex similar to what we saw in May when we had those coming in over and over and over again. Fortunately, this will be just one, but later on in the morning, so I would say from about sunrise on tomorrow is when we will start to see the rain from Tropical Storm Beryl. I mean, we could see some later tonight, just depending on what these bands do. Even daytime heating, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a few showers and thunderstorms that pop up later today, just with the energy coming up from this storm. So that possibility is there. The other thing too is this is going to keep us quite cool. All of the clouds and all of the moisture from this storm, from Tropical Storm Beryl, will keep us relatively cool. I mean, I've got temperatures in the 80s for tomorrow. Oh, that's nice. Where did let me get the forecast graphic for you. It's gone. And again, like I say, when I'm working on new things, research, development time, things go wrong. Things go crazy because I've got things in flux and they're not exactly set up the way they were in the spring. So if you'll give me just a moment here. Last time we had the forecast that defaulted to the wrong graphic, and now it just wasn't there at all. So hopefully we get that process ironed out to where it's nice and pretty for you very, very soon. In fact, I may just have to go back to what I had before. So here's the forecast as I have it for the next few days. Today, we're going to be fairly warm. Looks like we're a little bit above what we expected for today's temperatures. More sunlight today. So warm temperatures, light winds for now. Tomorrow, of course, will be windier when we get that storm in here. So tomorrow, 80% chance of rain. I have this 30% later tonight. Could see a few showers blow in from those early bands. Could see, again, that complex from up north. We'll be watching that as well. I don't expect severe weather from any of this. Really, the biggest concern is going to be how much rain we get. Tomorrow, 80% chance of showers and thunderstorms as Beryl makes its way through northeast Texas. Northeast winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. We could get gusts of 25 to 30 miles per hour. It is a tropical storm after all. By the time it gets to our area, probably closer to a tropical depression. But you see temperatures are in the mid 80s here, so quite cool compared to where we normally would be, but with all the cloud cover and all the moisture, and we'll be on the west side, which means we'll have northerly winds. We will be quite a bit cooler. Overnight tomorrow night, 60s for your lows. Not bad in July. And then Tuesday, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms as that's moving out. I think really that 30% could be for the afternoon. We could see more rain in the morning, but then 90 degrees, I think, for Tuesday here. 70 overnight, and then we're back in the 90s for the mid to late week period, so back in the mid 90s by the weekend when we could see another chance of rain moving through as well. Looks like a low chance of rain, but I'll be looking at that more in detail for you going forward. So let's go ahead and let's get back to, if it will so allow me, let's get back to looking at Beryl currently, and I feel like we might have an updated track, so I'm going to go ahead and put that up in the program here. Let's see if that has been updated so far. All right, I think we do have a little bit of an update here. So let me get this pulled up to where we can see that, if this mouse will allow me again. So let's see what that's giving us. Okay, so this is hurricane strength, and that's saying by 7 o'clock tonight. So I think that's fair. Again, we could see hurricane strength with this anytime. I think as soon as we get more data from those hurricane hunters, that's probably when we're going to be looking at more hurricane strength likely. This is looks like this is going to be 7 tomorrow morning. So that's where we have tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, this storm south of Houston. And so that has landfall pretty well, really, I would say the dots here. So the names are deceiving. You have to look to where the dot is, but that's southwest of Houston there. so west of Galveston for your landfall there, but that's going to be 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So you can see early tomorrow morning, that's where we have that storm. And then as far as our area, getting closer to us tomorrow evening. So the center of that storm, and this is kind of what I was saying earlier, so it's updated a little bit more to what I was expecting. So tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, not tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, 7 a.m., closer to the Arklatex. So looks like we did get a bit of an update here. So landfall will be early tomorrow morning in the Houston area by probably midday tomorrow. Tuesday morning, tomorrow evening, that's when the storm will be the closest to us. So late tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening will probably be our peak rainfall. And then by Tuesday morning, it's up in the Arklatex and then on from there. So it will still be tropical storm strength by the time it's in the Brazos Valley north of College Station here. So that could bring us gustier winds, heavier rain. So we'll see how those rainfall projections change as we're looking at now a track that doesn't bring it closer to us necessarily, but does anticipate a stronger storm as it gets closer to us, and then tropical depression by the time it gets to the Arklatex. So let me get to some of the chatter here. I know that there's some questions coming up here. Let's see. I'm just going to keep that track on the screen for now. And let's see, my daughter's leaving Monday at 10 a.m. to head near Lufkin for church camp. Pray for safe travels. Yeah, and I mean, there's going to be a lot of rain, so they'll be driving through a lot of rainy conditions through there. And then whose leg do I have to hump day to get one solid rain per week? Well, I mean, John, not sure I should have read that on the air there, but I mean, a solid rain once per week in the summer, you're going to have to work some pretty crazy miracles, I think. And I've got a cat messing things up here. What do you want? So that's Knox that's coming to the studio now. So he's hopefully going to do his own thing and not mess with the stream. But I mean, it is summertime, so it's tough to get rain that frequently. So the positive here is that we are getting a pretty decent rain. There we go, that's a good visual. We are getting a really good, okay, let's see. All right, so that's I've got an update from the National Weather Service here. Okay, so that's nothing new for the flood watch. Looks like the flood watch has been expanded to include Delta, Hopkins, Hunt, and Lamar County. So nothing new for our area, but that flood watch has been expanded again. We will see these updates throughout the day, and I will bring those to you. But the good news is that we are looking at rain coming through, and this much rain in early July, really getting closer to mid-July, is not a negative here. It is something positive that we can look at. It is the silver lining of the storm. Unfortunately, we are looking at storm surge up to 6 feet possible along the Texas coast. So there are positives and negatives there. Of course, we had plenty of rain in May that has kept us relatively okay, relatively well watered here in North Texas, I will say. Not in drought conditions, I will say that. And then, but there will be pretty big implications along the coast. Monica, you're saying your husband is flying into left field Monday at 8 a.m. Can there be flight cancellations? The way you phrased your question, I mean, there can be cancellations. I don't know that we'll be looking at that being the case at that point. It looks like the storm will still be fairly far south of us at that point. I don't know where he's flying in from, but Monday morning, tomorrow morning, I think flights will be okay. Tomorrow evening might be a little bit less sure on that. What kind of winds can we expect in Waxahachie? So Corey, we're looking at winds really, I think 10 to 15 miles per hour tomorrow, gusting 25 to 30 miles per hour possible. Or I would say 10 to 20 miles per hour probably sustained. And then again, 25, 30 possible in terms of those gusts. And I'm increasing those a little bit because, as I mentioned, we are looking at tropical storm strength as it gets a little closer to us. This is that updated track that we got a few minutes ago that, of course, everything always gets updated right after I update my graphics here. So I'll post this updated graphic here in just a few minutes on the page itself. But I do need to take a pause here because I have to, first of all, say thank you to Melissa Olson earlier this morning for your Venmo donation. Very, very generous there. John Manuel, thank you for your Cash App donation. So those things are always appreciated here. But as this storm moves northward, we will see plenty of rain here. And let's just do a recap of those graphics here. That's not what I wanted you to do. Wow, that really didn't do what I wanted it to do. Man, what is with this thing today? Did the same thing the other day, and the remote that I use to go through my graphics keeps grabbing on to OBS and messing with that. So right now, I have not seen the updated numbers here, but I think I missed a couple of things. But thank you, Jamie, for your Venmo donation. Thank you, John, for the Cash App donation. Thank you, Melissa, for your very generous Venmo donation there as well. So hopefully we've covered all that. But now that the stream is back to acting like it should here, we have 1 to 2 inches possible really west of I-35E. That's kind of the way this lines up here, closer to 2 to 3 inches from Waco to the eastern portion of Hill County here, most of Ellis County, Dallas County, and then get east of there. That's where you have 3 to 4 inches from Mejia to Corsicana up to Kaufman and Sulphur Springs, and then 5 to 7 in East Texas from Fairfield, Athens, on over to Jacksonville and Tyler. We could see up to 10 inches of rain, which is why, and this is again an outdated graphic as this has just changed, but as far as our area, it's the same. Here's the flood watches for tomorrow morning through Tuesday morning. Let me get out of the way here one more time. Lacey, you're asking, is there a way to zoom in on the path for our area? There's so many colors and lines on the maps. So we'll get back to the path here in just a moment, but these are the flood watches that we have currently in effect for tomorrow morning through tomorrow night. I will not be surprised if we see that extended over to include McLennan, Hill, Ellis, and Dallas counties. So stay tuned, because that could change here in the next few hours, but this is where they stand for now. And then again, for the big picture, I want to remind you that we do have this northwest flow that's not only going to bring this front in. This is part of what's going to help this storm eventually bank off to the northeast once it moves in and weakens. But this front, we could start early tomorrow morning, pre-dawn tomorrow morning, with a complex of storms moving south out of Oklahoma. Doesn't look like much will happen here. It doesn't look like much of it at all will reach us, if any of it does, but that could get an early start on the rain, and then we see the storm moving in, Tropical Storm Beryl moving in to our area, bringing more rain really throughout the day tomorrow. That's kind of where things stand. So again, here for the forecast, I'm just doing kind of a recap here. Warm today, 97 degrees, but we will be seeing more clouds. If we get more clouds up here, could be closer to 95. Tomorrow, 86 degrees, starting early with that complex out of Oklahoma. We'll see how much of that makes it. All day tomorrow, we will be looking at rain really increasing through the day. The peak of that rain will be tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, as that storm is near us. And we will be looking at winds. I mentioned 10 to 20. We could see gusts of 25 to 30 miles per hour tomorrow. And then going on from there, Tuesday, a few showers possible, but really I think most of us are done, especially by the afternoon, and then we're warming up by the time we get to the weekend. So that's just a quick kind of recap on everything, but I do want to let's go back to the radar here. I've got to get a better way of switching that around. Again, like I said, this is R&D season, though, so things seem a little bit clunky, but that's just because I'm experimenting with different setups here. Let's see. Jennifer Martin, what are your predictions for Monday around noonish for the Lufkin area? So it will be wet, showers and thunderstorms. The good news is, again, I'm not really looking at severe weather for our area. Mainly the flooding will be the issue, but in Lufkin, let's see, yeah, Monday about noon, it will be very wet and windy for that area around then. And then, like maps and explanations, so should we expect tornadoes? Also, one update was talking about a sharp cutoff on the west side of the storm. So, yeah, I mean, and as we looked at the rainfall amounts earlier, you could see a pretty clear, pretty tight line of kind of demarcation. And I can actually, we can queue up that map here for you. Let's go. Let's actually get that pulled up for you so we can kind of explore that a little more detail. And this, yeah, this looks about the same. So just kind of a comparison here. Here is the track. So you can just kind of barely see that line. Here's the projected track right now. As I mentioned though, let me get this little thing off the screen for you. As I mentioned, you can see this whole area. That's that whole cone of uncertainty. That means that anywhere within this area, we could see those variations in that track. Now, you get east of that cone of uncertainty, that's where you can see the rain amounts fall off pretty quickly. So 3+ inches, 3 to 4 inches possible here in the green. You're really looking at 2 to 3 inches in the pink here, 1 to 2 in the blue. So that's roughly kind of what you're looking at. But yes, I mean, as you get west of the storm, your biggest rain amounts are going to be near the center and near the center and east of it. So that's why you're seeing the heaviest rain amounts in Crockett and Palestine, Jacksonville, Tyler, on up. So that's what you're looking at there. That's why you have such high rain amounts close to the center there and to the east. But yes, as you go west, yeah, it's a pretty quick drop off. I mean, you can see from Waxahachie to Glen Rose here, a pretty quick drop off in terms of your rain amounts. So that doesn't mean that anything west of the storm is going to get nothing. Sometimes when the storm moves inland, it gets a little less organized, a little more sloppy, and that's going to give more rain on the west side. Because when you have the storm over the water, when the low pressure rather, is so low, that storm is so tightly organized, that sometimes is going to tighten your gradient in terms of those rain amounts. As it moves inland, it gets a little less organized, a little more sloppy, a little bit more of a hot mess here. So that, I think, will allow for more flexibility in terms of those rain amounts on the west side of it. But again, we will have to see. Sometimes they act differently based on what you're looking at. But just to reiterate again, let's get back to that satellite view, that beautiful view, that storm that we're all so used to. Put that into motion here for you too. And this is where that storm is expected to go. Again, making landfall early tomorrow morning. By tomorrow evening, that storm will be in our area, expected to be a tropical storm still as it gets really on the north side of the Brazos Valley there. And then the Arklatex by Tuesday, late tomorrow night, Tuesday morning there. So that's the track that we are expecting for this storm. A couple more questions came in. Let's see. Grandkids are on the Bolivar Peninsula. Said heavy rains and the surge is expected to get very high. Yeah, I mean, they could be seeing storm surge of up to 6 feet in that area. So that is one of the expectations there. I decided to leave and head back to Ellis County. They are looking for they are rocking and rolling on the ferry to Galveston now. So that is good news. It is, if you don't have to be on the coast, you really shouldn't be. It is a good idea to go ahead and move northward. This is not a Category 5 storm. This is not a major storm, but it is enough to where, again, there will be hurricane force winds out of this. Could very well be looking at storm surge up to 6 feet. So that should be kept in mind. If you don't have to be there, you probably shouldn't be there. And let's see here. Praying for safe travels back to Ellis County. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to consider. I see the question up there too. Should we expect tornadoes? Not really expecting it for our area. Now, where the storm first comes on shore, they could see some tornadoes. I would say from about Galveston on down to Corpus Christi. That's going to be probably the biggest chance for tornadoes tomorrow. but I'm not really that terribly concerned about that, especially for our area. I think by then it's mostly a wind and rain event by the time it reaches our particular area. So I'm not looking for that. And in Lacey, I haven't had coffee either yet, so I hope that I'm making sense as well. But stay tuned to South Metro weather. I will keep you updated on this storm as it continues to move northward. It could bring, in fact, it will bring quite a bit of rain to our area, and we will probably see that adjust throughout the day as we get a better idea of the track. Like I said, the track was updated not too terribly long ago, and so we will see kind of the domino effect of other graphics and other models and things adjusting to that. So I will continue to bring updates throughout the day of what is expected there. April, you're asking what about Waco? So Waco area should see probably, I would say, 2 to 3 inches of rain tomorrow. And again, winds of 10 to 20 miles per hour, 25 to 30 mile per hour gusts possible. So pretty much the same as our area. So for the Waco area, should have been a mandatory evacuation for all visitors on the coast. I believe there are we are beginning to see those mandatory evacuations for visitors in some places. I saw one yesterday. I can't recall. I think it was Port Aransas, I think, where I saw that. But we will start seeing more of those today, and so we will see those mandatory evacuations for visitors first and then residents later. We haven't seen any mandatory evacuations for residents, but I am starting to see just in different places mandatory evacuations for those visitors. I believe it's up to the local municipalities to make those decisions, and so you won't see one for the entire coast all at once, but we are starting to see those kind of dotted about throughout the coast. So stay tuned to South Metro weather. We've got more updates coming throughout the day. Of course, we'll be covering this tomorrow. No severe weather expected for our area aside from the possible flooding, but more to come as we watch the landfall and inland movement of Tropical Storm, soon to be Hurricane Beryl.